Hello everyone. In this video, we would see the capabilities of the OneBill platform to define the product catalog, as well as how you can manage the processing of CDR information to accurately calculate charges and present it on your customer's invoice. Some of the highlights from the catalog definition in OneBill are listed here. You could define charging for any type of charges, be it your recurring subscription charges, your non-recurring charges for elements like sale of products, or usage charges for your voice calls, inbound 800 calls, international calls, etc. We have support for flat charging, which is a per unit charge, as well as for volume-based charge, where you can charge differently and reduce the price as the volume increases, or have a more comprehensive rule-based pricing, where the charging is determined based on who is buying, where they are buying from, what they are buying, etc. We have support for accurate taxation by integrating with external tax vendors like SureTax, Avalara, and CSI, so that you get accurate telecom taxes calculated for your different types of charges. You could set up flexible call rates and call rounding rules, where you could say international calls are rounded in a block of 6 seconds, whereas for local calls, you could round it off to the nearest minute, etc. You could include additional benefits like free minutes every month. You could define which types of calls can consume from the bucket, set the validity, etc. You could handle proration when changes happen in mid-cycle, so the system calculates charges based on the dates for which the charges are applied. You can also bundle elements like DIDs and services and create a package and offer upsell bundle to your customers. Let's now go and look at the user interface to see how each of this works in the platform. This is the section where you have your catalog elements. Now let's go into a catalog element and see how it looks. So you have the hosted station product, which has got different variants, which we call as price plans. The first price plan has a subscription charge of $15 with appropriate tax code. You have mapping for the GL information, which can be defined here. And every charge defined in a plan can have its own mapping for the taxes, the GL, etc., helping you to calculate taxes appropriately for every element, as well as recording the appropriate GL code to report it in your financial software. The second example is an example of a volume-based pricing, where depending on the volume that you buy, the pricing is going to change appropriately. The third model we have here is a rule-based pricing, where a rule is defined based on the customer's location, and based on the customer's state, the pricing varies. So if a customer comes from Maryland, he's going to pay $20, whereas somebody in Texas is going to pay $21, etc. You've got a whole lot of parameters you could use to derive the pricing dynamically. From a bundling perspective, you will be able to define bundles with multiple elements. So here I have a site package, a set of stations, etc., to create a bundle. So when a customer comes in like an SMB, you could have a bundle offered to them. With the usage rating, OneBill provides a very comprehensive rule-based engine with which you could define the mapping of CDRs. The BroadSoft CDR format is already configured. And as you can see here, for example, if you want to find out the type of call, you could look at the call type and the call direction field to understand what type of a call it is. For example, if the call type is IN and the call direction is O, which means it's an outbound international call. Similarly, you can see the mapping done for the other type of calls. You can also define the different mapping for how you identify a party to be billed. In case of a BroadSoft CDR, you could use the customer ID field or the phone numbers to identify who is going to be billed. From the context of rating based on destination, we allow you to upload a CSV to create the mapping for different destinations. So here you can see, based on the dial digits, we understand if it's an international call and which country the call is made to. From the context of charging for every type of call. You can see here that there are rates set up for every type of call. And again, just like the other one-time and recurring charges, you've got different charge modes like fixed or volume-based. And you also have the pricing defined here. So it says it's 90 cents for every minute of call. And you have the rounding rules here to say, how do you want to handle a call? For example, if a call is made for 10 seconds, do you want to rate for an entire minute, or do you just want to rate it for the duration that comes with the call? Now, additionally, if you want to have included benefits like free minutes, you could do that here. For example, I could define something like a 500 free minute every month. You could say, is it a recurring benefit or something that you give one time? You could define the units that you're granting, and you could also say what type of calls are going to consume from this, as well as define validity for the same. With this, our system gives you the flexibility to define pricing for any types of product that you want to offer through the platform. Now, when it comes to CDR processing, you could automate the CDR processing to be run on a scheduled basis. We have the ability to pull BroadSoft CDRs from the BroadSoft FTP location. You could drop the CDRs in an FTP location that we provide you. We have configurable CDR rules that we saw in the user interface. And like I said, for the BroadSoft CDR, it's already defined for you. And you could also modify it based on your needs. For example, in the page I showed for mapping the identification of a billable entity, we had used a customer ID. But if you say, for my business, I don't want the customer ID, rather I want to go by the site ID, you could change the mapping from the user interface without having to depend on anybody else. Once the CDRs are processed, the information is available in the invoice. You have CSV exports that can send the call information to your customers so that your invoice can just have a summarized form and all the details of the calls could go as a CSV file. Every time a CDR is processed, the account balance is updated, the taxes are calculated, so your customers get to see more continuous updates on their account balance as and when the CDRs are processed. Just to show you how the invoicing presents the CDR information, you could present all the call details like the date of transaction, where the call was made to, what type of call is it, the duration of the call, etc. And you could also summarize this information and show what is the usage against a specific DID, including the duration, the charges, taxes, etc. Thank you.